Reality doesn't negotiate the way you've been taught to believe. It doesn't respond to force, and it doesn't reward compliance. It operates through exchanges you can't always see, through reversals that feel backwards, through trades happening beneath the surface of your awareness. First, it asks you to release. Then, and only then, does it hand you what's next. It dismantles you gently before it rebuilds you stronger. It asks you to open your hands long before it places anything new within them. And I understand the disorientation that comes with that. The emptiness where certainty used to live. The void that whispers you've somehow failed, that you've lost the thing that mattered most. But here's what you need to understand. That empty space? It's not a punishment. It's a portal. It's not a loss. It's an opening. You've been conditioned to see release as failure, as giving up, as stepping backward. But the reality is far more elegant and infinitely more generous than that. You cannot pull something new into your experience if your hands are still gripping what was. The universe cannot fill a vessel that's already overflowing with outdated patterns, with old stories, with the weight of who you used to be. This is the paradox at the heart of everything. The less tightly you cling, the more room existence has to deliver what's meant for you. The more willing you are to soften your stance, the more life can meet you with what you've been calling for. There's a part of your being that has already sensed this truth. The part that noticed the shift before your mind was ready to name it. The part that felt the ending approaching long before you were willing to let it arrive. Not the loud, violent kind of ending. Not the dramatic collapse that announces itself with fire and noise. But the subtle unwinding, the slow release of a form that no longer serves. You've been shedding a layer that once kept you safe, yes. A version of yourself that once fit perfectly, yes. But existence itself is intolerant of stillness. It demands movement, evolution, expansion. The pain you're experiencing isn't the pain of breaking apart. It's the discomfort of stretching beyond what you've known. The pressure at the boundaries of your being. That's not destruction. That's life itself, insisting you grow. You're not falling to pieces. You're expanding past the old container. And there's no judgment embedded in this process. No cosmic evaluation of your worth. No failure in the fact that you're outgrowing what once sustained you. Look at the natural world. Trees crack their own bark as they widen. Stars implode before they radiate their brightest light. Everything that's alive understands this vocabulary of change. So now is the moment to release your grip on what you've been carrying simply because it's become familiar. The versions of yourself you wear out of habit rather than truth. The fears you've mistaken for protection. The beliefs you absorbed because the world convinced you that acceptance had to be earned, that belonging came with conditions. These things were useful once. You needed them at a certain stage, but you're allowed to evolve beyond what once kept you alive. You're permitted to step into someone entirely new. Releasing your hold isn't indifference, it's not resignation, and it's not weakness. Releasing is remembering how to move in harmony with the current of life, rather than exhausting yourself by resisting it. And when you finally do this, when you stop fighting the flow and allow yourself to be carried, something shifts in the field around you. Life begins to respond, not with grand gestures or sudden miracles, but with steady, quiet movements toward you. Small signs, gentle synchronicities, little moments that prove to you that reality itself favors receptivity over force. Here's the piece of this process that almost no one talks about. The part that changes everything once you truly hear it. Life doesn't extract something from you without the intention of replacing it with something more aligned. What exits your experience creates the necessary space for what's next. What slows down teaches you the art of patience, the art of trust. What dissolves into quiet eventually returns, carrying the clarity you were searching for. You were never designed to manipulate outcomes into being. You were never meant to collapse timelines through sheer willpower. Your only real work has ever been to create the space for what's already moving toward you, for what's already seeking you out in the quantum field. So let me make this as clear as possible. The more you're willing to let go, the more the universe pours into your hands. The more you soften your resistance, the more you're capable of receiving. The more emptiness you allow within yourself, the more abundance recognizes you as the place it's meant to land. There's nothing broken in you for wanting to control your reality. That's a human impulse, and it's understandable. But there's something far more powerful waiting for you on the other side of that need. Something that only becomes visible when you finally stop gripping so tightly. You're not dissolving into nothing. You're not vanishing from your own life. You're not collapsing under the weight of uncertainty. What's actually happening is this. You're becoming open enough, spacious enough, receptive enough for life to meet you where you are. You're making room for the extraordinary to arrive. But here's where most people stop. They understand the concept intellectually. They nod along. They agree in theory. And then they return to the exact patterns that kept them stuck in the first place. Because understanding something with your mind is not the same as embodying it in your nervous system, in your cells, in the frequency you're broadcasting into the field. Intellectual agreement doesn't shift your reality. Only embodied practice does. Only living it, breathing it, allowing it to move through you changes the trajectory of what shows up. So let's go deeper. Let's talk about what it actually means to release in a world that's conditioned you to hold on at all costs. Let's talk about the mechanics of this, the quantum reality underneath the spiritual language. Because here's what no one tells you. When you release something, when you genuinely let it go, you're not just performing some symbolic gesture. You're collapsing a waveform. You're ending a loop of observation that was keeping a particular reality locked in place. You're withdrawing your attention, your energy, your emotional investment from a pattern that was feeding on your focus. And the moment you do that, the moment you truly withdraw, the field reorganizes itself around the new space you've created. This is not metaphor. This is quantum mechanics applied to consciousness. The observer effect doesn't just apply to particles in a lab. It applies to your entire existence. What you observe, what you focus on, what you feed with your attention, that's what collapses into form. That's what solidifies into your lived experience. So when you're clinging to something, when you're holding on with everything you have, what you're actually doing is forcing the field to keep showing you more of that same reality. You're locking yourself into a repeating pattern because your consciousness refuses to look away. Letting go, then, is not passive. It's one of the most active, most powerful things you can do. It's a conscious choice to stop feeding a particular timeline. It's a decision to withdraw your observational energy from a reality that no longer serves you. And the instant you do that, you create what's called quantum superposition. You open up multiple possible futures. You allow the field to present you with options you couldn't even perceive before, because you were so focused on the one thing you were trying to control. Think about it. When you're gripping tightly to a specific outcome, to a specific person, to a specific version of how your life should look, you're narrowing the field of possibility down to a single point. You're telling the universe, it has to be this, or nothing. And the universe, being the responsive, intelligent field that it is, will honor that. It will keep showing you exactly what you're demanding to see, even if it's no longer what you actually need. But the moment you release that demand, the moment you say, I trust that something better is available to me, you expand the field. You allow possibilities you hadn't even considered to emerge from the quantum foam of potential. This is why so many people experience sudden breakthroughs right after they stop trying. This is why the thing you were chasing finally shows up the moment you genuinely stop chasing it. Because you've stopped collapsing the waveform into a single limited outcome. You've allowed the field to breathe, to move, to reorganize itself around what's actually best for you, rather than what your fear-based mind decided was the only option. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Because when you start to understand this at a quantum level, you begin to realize that every single moment of your life, you're already choosing. You're already collapsing possibilities into form. You're already directing the field with your attention, your emotion, your belief about what's possible. The question is not whether you're doing it. The question is whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously. Whether you're choosing from fear or from trust. Whether you're selecting from the limited menu of what you've already experienced, or opening yourself to the infinite possibilities that exist beyond your current awareness. Most people live their entire lives on autopilot, unconsciously selecting the same patterns, the same responses, the same realities over and over again. They wake up in the morning already bracing for what they expect. They move through their day confirming what they believe. They go to sleep rehearsing the story they've been telling themselves about who they are and what's possible for them, and then they wonder why nothing ever changes. They wonder why their life feels stuck, repetitive, like they're living the same year on repeat. But it's not a mystery. It's physics. It's the observer effect playing out in real time. They're collapsing the same waveform day after day because they've never questioned the reality they're choosing to observe. If this understanding is shifting something in you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you stay aligned with this frequency as we continue exploring these quantum truths together. But you're different. You wouldn't be here, listening to this, if you weren't ready for something more. If you weren't sensing that there's another way to move through reality. If you weren't beginning to understand that you have far more creative power than you've been allowing yourself to use. And that recognition, that awareness, that's the first step. That's the crack in the old pattern. That's the moment when the field begins to reorganize around a new possibility. Now, I want you to pause here for a moment. Take a breath. Let this land in your body, not just your mind, because this is where the shift happens. This is where intellectual understanding becomes embodied knowing. If what I'm saying is resonating with you, if something in you is recognizing this as truth, then I'm going to ask you to do something. Scroll down to the comments right now and type these exact words. I release what no longer serves me. Not as a casual interaction, not as a throwaway comment, but as a declaration to the field, as a conscious interruption in the loop you've been running. Your words carry frequency. Your intention shapes reality. So type it, declare it. Let the universe hear you saying it out loud. And here's what happens when you do that. You're not just commenting on a video. You're participating in a collective shift, You're adding your voice to a frequency that's rising, that's spreading, that's changing the way consciousness itself is organizing on this planet. Because the more people who embody this truth, the more the morphic field shifts to reflect it. The more of us who choose to release, to soften, to trust, the easier it becomes for everyone else to do the same. You're not alone in this. You're part of a movement, a frequency, a wave of consciousness that's remembering how reality actually works. So let's keep going. Because there's more you need to understand about this process. There's a deeper layer we need to explore, and it has to do with the relationship between control and trust, between force and flow, between the mind that plans and the intelligence that guides. You've been taught your entire life that success comes from effort, from strategy, from figuring it all out in advance. You've been conditioned to believe that if you're not actively pushing, manipulating, controlling every variable, then you're being irresponsible, you're being passive, you're not doing your part. And that conditioning runs deep. It's woven into the fabric of the culture you were raised in. But here's the truth that culture doesn't want you to know. The hardest you've ever worked in your life has probably produced the least amount of actual transformation. Because force and flow are not the same thing. Effort and alignment are not the same thing. You can work incredibly hard trying to force a door open that was never meant for you. You can exhaust yourself pushing against a current that's trying to take you somewhere better. And the tragedy is, you'll call that hard work. You'll call that dedication. You'll wear it like a badge of honor, this willingness to keep struggling, keep fighting, keep forcing. But all you're really doing is refusing to listen to the intelligence that's trying to guide you toward something easier, something more aligned, something that actually wants you. The universe is not testing your willingness to suffer. It's not waiting to see how much pain you can endure before it finally rewards you. That's a trauma response masquerading as spirituality. That's old programming dressed up as wisdom. The truth is simpler and so much kinder than that. The universe is always, always, always trying to move you toward the path of least resistance. It's trying to show you the open doors. It's trying to guide you toward the things that want to happen, the connections that want to form, the realities that are already reaching for you. But you can't see any of that when you're white-knuckling your way through life. When you're so focused on controlling the outcome that you miss every single sign pointing you in a better direction. Take a moment and share in the comments below. What's one thing you've been gripping tightly that you're ready to release after hearing this? Your words carry power, and sharing your intention amplifies the frequency of transformation. So what would it look like to soften? What would it mean to trust the intelligence that's moving through you, around you, as you? What if, just for a moment, you entertained the possibility that you don't have to have it all figured out? That you don't have to be 10 steps ahead? That maybe, just maybe, the part of you that's trying so hard to control everything is actually the part that's most terrified, most wounded, most convinced that the universe is hostile and you have to fight for every scrap of goodness that comes your way? What if you let that part rest? What if you thanked it for trying so hard to keep you safe, and then gently, lovingly, asked it to step aside so that something wiser could take the wheel? Because there is something wiser available to you. There's an intelligence that exists beyond the limitations of your thinking mind, beyond the fear-based strategies of your ego. Some people call it intuition. Some call it the quantum field. Some call it God, or Source, or the Tao, or universal consciousness. The name doesn't matter. What matters is that it's real, and it's always guiding you, and the only thing that blocks you from receiving that guidance is your refusal to stop controlling long enough to actually listen. This is the practice. This is the work. Not the flashy stuff. Not the manifestation techniques or the vision boards or the affirmations you repeat without feeling them. The real work is learning to recognize when you're gripping too tightly and then choosing in that moment to soften, to breathe, to trust, to say, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm willing to let it unfold in a way that's better than anything I could have planned. And here's something most people don't realize about this process. When you start practicing this kind of trust, when you begin to genuinely let go of control, your nervous system goes through a recalibration. Because your body has been living in a state of constant vigilance, constant tension, constant preparation for the next threat, the next problem, the next thing you need to fix. Your nervous system has been stuck in sympathetic activation, in fight or flight mode, treating your entire life as if it's an emergency that needs to be managed. And that state, that chronic stress response, it doesn't just exhaust you mentally and emotionally. It literally changes your biology. It alters your brain chemistry, your hormone levels, your immune function. It keeps you locked in survival mode when what you're actually seeking is the ability to thrive. So when you practice releasing, when you consciously choose to soften and trust, you're not just making a mental shift. You're giving your nervous system permission to downregulate. You're allowing your body to move from sympathetic dominance into parasympathetic activation, into the rest and digest state where healing happens, where creativity flows, where connection becomes possible. And in that state, everything changes. Your perception shifts. Your energy expands. Your capacity to receive increases exponentially because you're no longer broadcasting the frequency of fear and scarcity. You're emanating trust and openness. And the field responds to that frequency. This is why meditation works. This is why breathwork works. This is why any practice that helps you regulate your nervous system creates tangible changes in your external reality. Because you're not just calming yourself down, you're literally changing the signal you're sending into the quantum field. You're shifting from a frequency of contraction to a frequency of expansion. And when you do that, when you stabilize in that expanded state, different possibilities become available to you. Different people show up. Different opportunities emerge. Not because you've manipulated anything, but because you've become a vibrational match for a different level of reality. Now, what we're touching on here, this understanding of how consciousness broadcasts reality into form, this is just the surface layer of a much deeper quantum architecture. If this resonates with you, if you're ready to explore the complete system of how to shift from unconscious transmission to becoming the field itself, I've created a comprehensive guide called Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery that walks you through the 9 master frequencies and the step-by-step practices for moving from seeking to embodied creation. It's linked in the pinned comment below. And if this is touching something in you, if you're feeling the truth of this in your body and not just your mind, then I want to invite you to subscribe. Not to this channel, but to this frequency. Not to content, but to a way of being. Not to stay informed, but to stay coherent. Because what we're building here is not an audience. It's a community of people who are choosing to live differently, who are remembering that consciousness creates reality, who are willing to do the inner work that most people avoid. And the more of us who gather in this space, the stronger the field becomes. The more we amplify this truth for each other. So subscribe, not because you want more videos, but because you want to keep yourself aligned with this remembering. Because it's easy to forget. It's easy to slip back into old patterns, to start gripping again, to convince yourself that this time, this situation, this person, this outcome is the exception, is the thing you really do need to control. But when you're part of a community that's consistently choosing a different way, it becomes easier to stay anchored in that truth. It becomes easier to catch yourself when you start to slip. Now let's talk about what actually happens in your life when you start practicing this. Because theory is beautiful, but you want to know what this looks like in the real, messy, complicated texture of your daily existence. You want to know what shifts when you genuinely start letting go. So here's what I've witnessed, both in my own experience and in the lives of countless others who have stepped into this practice. First, things get quieter. Not necessarily easier at first, but quieter. The frantic energy that used to drive you starts to settle. The constant mental chatter about what you should do, what you need to fix, what you have to make happen, it begins to fade. And in that quiet, you start to notice things you were too distracted to see before. Synchronicities, small signs, moments of alignment that were always there, but that you were moving too fast to catch. Second, opportunities start appearing that you weren't looking for. Because you've stopped forcing one specific outcome, the field now has room to bring you things that are actually better aligned with who you're becoming, not who you used to be. That job you were desperately trying to make work finally falls away, and suddenly a position you never even knew existed opens up. One that actually uses your gifts. One that doesn't drain you. One that feels like flow instead of fight. That relationship you were clinging to finally ends, and in the space that's left, you discover parts of yourself you'd forgotten existed. You remember what it feels like to be whole on your own. You stop searching for someone to complete you and start attracting people who actually complement the completeness you found within yourself. Third, and this is the one that surprises people the most, you start to feel lighter. Not because your circumstances have necessarily changed yet, but because you're no longer carrying the weight of trying to control them. You're no longer exhausting yourself with the impossible task of managing every variable, predicting every outcome, protecting yourself from every potential pain. You start to trust that you can handle whatever comes. Not because you've figured it all out, but because you've realized you don't need to. You've remembered that you're not navigating this alone, that there's an intelligence moving through your life that's far more vast, far more wise, far more loving than your small, scared mind could ever be. And fourth, you start to notice that life responds to you differently. Not in some magical overnight transformation, but in small, consistent ways that build over time. Doors open more easily, conversations flow more naturally, resources appear when you need them. Not because you've earned them through suffering or forced them into being through willpower, but because you've finally gotten out of your own way. You've stopped blocking the flow with your fear, your control, your insistence that it has to look a certain way. And in that openness, in that receptivity, life can finally give you what it's been trying to give you all along. But here's what I need you to understand. This isn't a one-time decision. This isn't something you do once, and then you're done. This is a practice. This is a daily, moment-by-moment choice to notice when you're gripping and choose to soften. To notice when you're forcing and choose to flow. To notice when you're controlling and choose to trust. Some days it will feel easy, Some days it will feel impossible. Some days you'll catch yourself immediately and be able to shift in real time. Other days you'll spend hours, maybe even days, locked in the old pattern before you even realize you've slipped back into it. And that's okay. That's part of the process. This isn't about perfection. It's not about never struggling, never doubting, never falling back into fear. It's about building the muscle of awareness, of choice, of return. It's about getting better and better at recognizing when you've drifted out of alignment and knowing how to find your way back. Not through shame, not through self-judgment, but through gentle, loving redirection. Through the simple act of noticing and choosing again. And here's something else that happens as you deepen into this practice. You start to develop a different relationship with time itself. Because when you're constantly trying to control outcomes, when you're always 10 steps ahead in your mind, you're never actually present. You're always living in some imagined future, worrying about what might happen, planning for contingencies, trying to protect yourself from possibilities that haven't even occurred. And in that state, you miss the only moment where life is actually happening. You miss the only moment where you have any real power. Right now, this breath, this choice, this instant. But when you practice releasing, when you train yourself to come back to the present moment again and again, something remarkable starts to happen. You begin to notice that time feels different. It slows down. It expands. You have more space to respond instead of react. You catch yourself before you spiral into old patterns. You notice the beauty that's always been there, but that you were too preoccupied to see. A stranger's smile, the way light moves through leaves, the perfect timing of a song that speaks directly to what you're feeling. These aren't accidents. These aren't random occurrences. These are messages from the field, confirmations that you're in alignment, breadcrumbs showing you that you're on the right path. And the more you notice these things, the more they multiply. Because attention is creative. What you focus on expands. When you start looking for evidence that the universe is supporting you, that life is conspiring in your favor, that you're being guided toward your highest good, you find it everywhere. Not because you're delusional or engaging in some kind of spiritual bypassing, but because you've tuned your receiver to a different frequency. You've adjusted your perception to recognize what was always there, but what you were too busy, too stressed, too contracted to see. And if you've experienced a moment like this recently, a synchronicity or sign that confirmed you're on the right path, drop it in the comments. When we share these moments, we strengthen the collective field and remind each other that we're all being guided. This is what it means to live in flow. Not the absence of challenge. Not a life where everything is easy and nothing ever goes wrong. But a way of moving through reality where you trust that even the difficulties, even the setbacks, even the moments that feel like failures are actually part of a larger pattern that's working in your favor. Where you understand that sometimes the universe closes doors not to punish you, but to redirect you towards something better. Where you recognize that delays aren't denials, they're divine timing, making sure all the pieces are in place before the next chapter unfolds. And I know that can be hard to trust when you're in the middle of it, when the door just slammed shut and you can't see what's next. When the thing you wanted didn't work out, and you feel disappointed, frustrated, maybe even devastated. In those moments, the old part of you wants to grip harder, to force something to happen, to make it work through sheer determination. But that's exactly when the practice matters most. That's when you have the opportunity to choose differently, to take a breath, to soften, to say, I don't understand this right now, but I trust that there's something here I need to see, something I need to learn, some direction I need to go that I can't perceive yet. And when you do that, when you choose trust in the moments when everything in you wants to control, that's when the real transformation happens. That's when you prove to yourself that you're no longer operating from the old programming. That's when you embody this new way of being at a level that goes beyond intellectual understanding. You integrate it into your cells, into your energy, into the very fabric of who you are. And from that place, everything shifts. Not because you made it shift, but because you allowed it to shift. You got out of the way and let the intelligence that's always been guiding you finally move you where you need to go. So here's what I want you to do. As we move toward the close of this, I want you to get really honest with yourself about what you're still gripping. What are you holding on to that you know, deep down, you need to release? What identity, what story, what relationship, what outcome, what version of how your life should look are you still white-knuckling, even though every part of you knows it's no longer serving you? Take a moment. Breathe. Let yourself feel the truth of what wants to be released. Maybe it's a job that's been draining you for years, but that you've convinced yourself you need to stay in for security. Maybe it's a relationship that ended months ago, but that you're still energetically tied to, because you haven't fully let go. Maybe it's a version of yourself that you've been performing for so long that you've forgotten it's just a role, not who you actually are. Maybe it's a dream that was never really yours, but one that someone else planted in you. One that you've been chasing out of obligation, rather than genuine desire. Maybe it's a belief about what's possible for you, a story about your limitations, a conviction that you're not worthy of the very things you're longing for. Whatever it is, whatever you're still gripping, I want you to acknowledge it. Not to judge yourself for holding on, not to shame yourself for not releasing it sooner, but simply to bring it into the light of your awareness, to see it clearly, to recognize that it's there. Because you can't release what you won't acknowledge. You can't let go of something you're pretending you're not holding. And then, when you're ready, I want you to go down to the comments one more time. But this time, I want you to drop just one word. Not a sentence, not an explanation, just one single word that captures the energy, the intention, the transformation you're choosing right now in this moment. It could be trust, it could be flow, it could be release, it could be surrender, it could be open, it could be spacious, it could be receive. Whatever word feels true for you, whatever word represents the frequency you're stepping into, type it. Let it be your declaration, your energetic signature to the quantum field, your way of saying to the universe, I'm ready, I'm choosing this, I'm available for what's next. Because here's what happens when you do that. You're not just commenting, you're not just participating, you're anchoring a frequency. You're contributing to a collective field of consciousness that's rising, that's shifting, that's changing the way reality itself organizes. The more of us who choose this, who embody this, who live this, the more the world around us has to reflect that truth. That's not spiritual bypassing. That's not wishful thinking. That's quantum mechanics. That's the observer effect operating at a collective scale. That's how change actually happens. So type your word, anchor your frequency, and then subscribe one more time. Not to stay connected, but to stay coherent. Not to receive, but to embody. Not to learn, but to become. Because the more of us who gather in this space, in this frequency, in this commitment to living consciously, the more the entire morphic field shifts to support that way of being. We're not just creating content here. We're creating a new paradigm. We're remembering a way of moving through reality that humanity has forgotten. And every person who joins this space, who chooses this frequency, who commits to this practice, makes it easier for the next person to do the same. This is how transformation spreads. Not through preaching or convincing or forcing people to see things differently, but through embodiment. Through living it so fully that others can feel the frequency shift when they're in your presence. Even if that presence is virtual, even if it's just through words on a screen or a voice speaking truth that resonates in their bones. You become a permission slip for others to remember what they already know. You become a mirror reflecting back their own potential, their own power, their own capacity to choose differently. And if this video has touched you in that way, consider watching it again tomorrow morning to anchor this frequency before your day begins, or share it with someone who needs to hear this message. When you share these quantum truths, you're not just passing along information, you're activating a ripple in the collective field that accelerates both your transformation and theirs, creating synchronicities and opening pathways that benefit everyone involved. And that's the real work. Not changing the world out there, but transforming the consciousness in here. Not fixing external circumstances, but shifting internal frequency. Because when enough of us do that, when enough of us choose to release the old patterns and step into this new way of being, the external world has no choice but to reorganize itself around that collective shift. That's not theory. That's not hope. That's physics. That's the nature of reality responding to the dominant frequency of conscious observation. So here's everything, laid out as plainly as I can say it. The more you're willing to release, the more the universe delivers. The more you choose to soften rather than force, the more you become capable of receiving what's meant for you. The more space you create within yourself, the more abundance recognizes you as home. There's nothing wrong with the part of you that wants certainty, that wants control, that wants to know how it's all going to turn out. That's human. That's understandable. That's the conditioning of a culture that taught you to trust nothing, to rely only on yourself, to believe that the universe is fundamentally indifferent to your well-being. But there's something infinitely more powerful available to you when you're willing to let that part rest, when you're willing to trust the intelligence that's been guiding you all along, when you're willing to remember that you're not separate from the field, you're not isolated in a hostile universe trying to survive through force and strategy. You are the field expressing itself. You are consciousness experiencing itself. You are the universe becoming aware of itself through the unique lens of your individual perspective. And from that place of remembering, from that recognition of your true nature, everything becomes possible. You're not ending. You're not disappearing into the void. You're not losing yourself in some nebulous spiritual concept. What's actually happening is this. You're becoming vast enough, open enough, receptive enough for life to pour itself into you. You're making room for the extraordinary. You're clearing space for the magic that's been waiting for your permission to arrive. And that's not an ending. That's the beginning of everything. That's the moment when your life stops being something you have to fight for and becomes something that flows through you, as you, with you. That's when you remember what it feels like to be alive, not in survival mode, but in creative expression. Not in fear, but in trust. Not in contraction, but in expansion. And you deserve that. You deserve to know what it feels like to move through life with ease instead of effort, to trust instead of control, to receive instead of constantly chasing. You deserve to experience the truth of who you are beneath all the conditioning, all the fear, all the stories you've been carrying about your limitations. You deserve to remember that you are so much more powerful, so much more creative, so much more loved by this universe than you've ever allowed yourself to believe. So let go. Soften. Trust. Create space. And watch as life rushes in to meet you exactly where you are, bringing with it everything you've been seeking and so much more that you never even knew to ask for. Now, if you're beginning to understand that your reality is responding to your internal frequency rather than your external effort, you need to see how this principle operates at an even deeper level. The video, When You Stop Needing, You Start to Attract, breaks down the exact quantum mechanics of why desperation repels while detachment magnetizes, showing you how to shift from chasing outcomes to becoming the vibrational match for what you desire. Watch that next to complete this understanding.